Dr. Phil is back with all new shows recorded before the stay-at-home order. Today, from college scholarship to living in her car.
I would have my head over here, my body here.
But is mom to blame?
I needed you, and you weren't there.
You've been putting men ahead of her for a long time.
You have been doing nothing but criminal activities.
Am I going to pack her off somewhere for 90 days so you can take a break? Hell no. What are you willing to do? Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Thank you. Well, in high school, Corinna seemed like the perfect student. She was on the honor roll in choir, dance team, and was a member of the Future Business Leaders of America with a full college scholarship. But then last year, her mother, Dayna, says things, well, they just started to spiral out of control when Corinna brought home a new boyfriend, Tommy. Now, Dayna claims Tommy is abusive and a criminal who is leading her daughter into a life of petty theft, pot smoking, and homelessness. Take a look.
My beautiful daughter went into a downward spiral after quitting college. You had the whole world in front of you, and you quit. She had straight A's in school, honor roll, and was very intelligent. Corinna got into some legal trouble around the age of 17. She was arrested for scheme to defraud. She stole $700 from her job. Corinna was in jail. That's not what I had planned for my daughter at all. She also stole approximately $600 to $700 from me and my boyfriend. It bothers me that you stole money directly out of our bedroom on multiple occasions. I attribute a lot of my daughter's downward spiral to her boyfriend, Tommy. Every job she's had, she has quit or has been fired because she wants to hang out with her boyfriend. They do smoke pot at least 10 times a day. I believe he may also be dealing drugs. He's a wannabe thug. The thing that really infuriates me is that one night, Tommy dragged my daughter with his car. From what I understand, they were in an argument. Anna went to get out of the car and then get back in, and he took off. She split her head open. When I watch it, I see something horrific. I see my daughter getting hurt, and it breaks my heart. When I kicked Corinna out, initially she went to her best friend's house, and after being there about a week, they also kicked her out.
My mom kicking me out was an overreaction. She should have tried to help me in other ways than to kick me out.
I thought kicking you out of the home would make you hit a rock bottom, and you would do everything you had to do to get in gear, and you've not done that. A week later, was living in her car.
So this is my car, and this is where I would be sleeping most nights.
Corinna really doesn't realize how close she is to being homeless. It's definitely time for her to grow up and dump Tommy.
Well, Corinna says, no. She says she is not a wild child, and Tommy is not the problem. She says, Mom, you want to know what the problem is? You need to look in the mirror, lady. You are just too busy with your boyfriends.
My mom definitely tries to make it seem like I'm a problem child, a wild, teenager, and that's not the situation at all. I have resentment towards her, and I have anger, and she broke my heart for not being there for me when I needed her. My mom has been married 3 times. I don't really know my dad. In between husbands, she has had multiple boyfriends. It was very unstable.
I feel like you rely way too much on the men in your relationships.
We've definitely moved around multiple times. I've lived in, I can't even count how many houses, probably 6 or 7. I feel like she's always dependent on other men, and with Tony, she lives in his house. She cares about Tony more than about me.
At Tony's house, it's like you and Tony have each other, and I feel like the odd one out.
She probably wouldn't have kicked me out if she lived on her own and was independent. Because of her dependence, I was the one who got punished. I stole money from Tony because my mother wouldn't help me. I was in a desperate situation. 2 months ago, I got arrested for stealing money from my job at a retail store. I stole the money to get my car back because I thought I was going to be living in my car. I 100% knew it was wrong, and I felt like I had no other choice at that point in time. My mom blames all of the stuff on Tommy, but Tommy has been the only person that has really been there by my side. When I'm with Tommy, I feel like I'm wanted and I get attention. I give him attention. Tommy is not a drug dealer. He doesn't deal drugs. Well, you make it sound like I'm a drug addict, and I'm not. I smoke at nighttime to help me go to sleep. I feel like I'm stuck in the middle. I want to be able to have a relationship with my mother, and I want to be able to have a relationship with Tommy. I don't feel as if it's fair that I have to choose between one or the other.
Are you hoping to fix your relationship with your daughter or get rid of Tommy? How would you order those things?
I actually want to do all of those things.
And how about you?
I want to fix things with her. I don't want it to be an ongoing battle, but I think she just places a lot of blame on Tommy.
Your problem started a hell of a long time before Tommy came on the scene, right? Mm-hmm. He inherited this fight. So how is he the catalyst here if you two have been doing battle since before she was 13 years old?
We've battled on and off since she was younger. However, believe it or not, we actually did have a decent relationship. We would battle from time to time.
I choose not. You need to make a decision about whether you're here to look your best and put your best foot forward, or you're here to get real and seriously deal with the issues at hand. Because I work fast, I get to the point, and I don't cotton much to people that are just trying to cover their ass.
Right. No, and I'm not. I want to fix our relationship.
So this is stuff about, well, we got a pretty good relationship. And come on. Her opinion, if I may speak on your behalf, I'll represent you here.
Go ahead.
You've been putting men ahead of her for a long time. Mm-hmm. She knows it, she feels it, and there's been a revolving door. How am I doing?
Doing good, yeah. Yes.
Your focus was just Tommy, bad decision, bad decision, bad decision. And you have made some really stupid decisions.
Yeah, I have.
You said at 13 she got in trouble at school, right? That was the first time that it really kind of rose to the level of other than talking in class. She had weed in her backpack.
Yes.
Yeah. Where was Tommy then?
Nowhere around.
Nowhere around? Mm-hmm. Damn. Okay. And where was he sophomore year when she was living with her brother, two kids raising themselves?
Nowhere around.
Nowhere around. How about junior year when
nowhere
she was
around.
Okay, nowhere around. Huh. And neither were you.
Right.
Coming up, Dayna says Corinna's boyfriend is abusive and she has video proof. She says he's a criminal, correct? Mm-hmm. And he's abusive. Well, I deal with facts. We're going to meet him next, and we're going to put this to the proof test. We'll be right back.
I don't think Corinna's mom is a good parent.
I was 16 years old, and I needed you, and you weren't there.
No parent should ever allow their child to feel like they have no one at all. I love Corinna. I hope her much more than her parents help her.
And later, you make these statements because nobody ever questions you about it.
We looked at that video
You said,
several
I can
times.
play it back for you. You said she never got completely out of the car. She was getting out of the car and he just drove off.
That's what it appeared to look like when you're watching a grainy video, that we had no ability to stop like that, to actually break it down.
Well, great news, because we can stop it.
That's amazing.
There was a time where I slept in my car, I would probably say 20, 25 times. Sleeping in my car made me feel scared.
I would have my head over here, my body here. Most nights we'd just in a ball.
My mom wouldn't allow me at her house, and I begged my mother to please let me come home, and she would absolutely not let me.
All of my stuff is in my trunk, my blanket, all my, baskets of clothes.
I do worry that I may have to live in my car again.
Corinna says after Dayna kicked her out, the only person she could rely on for protection on those frightening car sleeping nights was her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Tommy.
I don't think Corinna's mom is a good parent. Corinna does have emotional turmoil, and part of that is because of her mother. They don't have the best relationship. I don't think Corinna's mom is a good parent. She neglects your child.
I was 16 years old, and I needed you, and you weren't there.
No parent should ever allow their child to feel like they have no one at all. Corinna's mom thinks I sell weed. I am not a drug dealer. The reality is I have a friend who sells weed, and I get weed for her. We smoke together, and that's that. Last year, I was arrested at school for possession of marijuana. I went to jail for a couple hours, and Corinna did come and try to bail me out. I took responsibility for what I did do, and I learned not to do it again. And I knew it was wrong, and it wouldn't happen again. Corinna's parents don't know that I'm a great friend, I'm a great big brother. Whatever my mom needs me to do, I help my mom 110%. So whenever Corinna has a problem or whatever the case may be, I'm the first person she comes and talks to. I love Corinna. I help her much more than her parents help her. I'm the one who motivates her the most to push her to do what she needs to do. When she got arrested, I did go and bail her out of jail. Because her mom did state, Corinna, if you were to ever get arrested, don't call me because I'm not coming to get you. Corinna is only 18. She's still struggling. I think her parents should let her back in.
All right, Tommy, welcome. You owe me $100.
$100? I got you.
Because I've been taking up for you since I got out here.
Well, I don't get paid till next week. So.
Both of you have made some really stupid decisions.
Yes.
We'll go over those in a minute. You say, first off, he's a criminal.
Yeah, he was arrested, yes.
Yeah.
So was
Well,
I.
the fact of the matter is, he's not a criminal because I do my homework, as you know,
I know.
and I've done a deep dive on the young man. He's never been convicted. He's never pled. He has been arrested. He has been detained. He's not been convicted of anything. So you saying that he's a criminal on national television is defamatory. And he could sue your ass for saying on national television that he's a criminal if I wasn't clearing that up right now.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, you also say he's abusive, and you have video proof of that. So let's take a look at that. This is a car incident that's involving Tommy and Corinna, and this is why Dayna says that she finally banned her daughter from seeing Tommy in her home. So let's take a look.
On the night of the accident, I was leaving work, and he was bringing me home because I didn't have my car at the time. I got out of the car, and my hand was right here, and I was going to close it. Then I decided to get back into the car. He didn't know I was trying to get back into the car.
Like, I didn't notice she was hopping back in, like, as I was pulling off.
When I fell, I hit my head, like, on the ground, and when I got up, I didn't know that I was bleeding. I had scrapes on me and bruises because I fell, out of the car.
The tire ran over your ankle, and you had significant bruising on both legs, on the back of both legs, and you had a significant gash in your head.
That's when I stopped immediately and I got out of the car, and then that's when I put her in the car and I asked her, Corinna, do you want to go inside? And she didn't want to go inside because she didn't want to get in trouble with her mom.
The neighbors across the street have videos. It made it look like I got dragged or was purposely getting hurt.
I don't believe that was an accident. The way he took off in the car, you weren't even completely out of the car. He kind of floored it on the gas pedal. And I know you're gonna defend Tommy.
I'm defending myself because I know what happened. I was there.
The camera cuts off at a certain point, and right on the other side of the camera, that's where Corinna was on the ground, and then I got out, and I picked her up and put her in the car. To anyone who thinks I would do this on purpose, I just want to let you know it wasn't on purpose, and you don't know my heart at all.
What were y'all talking about at the time?
I just wanted to hang out with him after we got off of work, and it was already getting late, so he just wanted to go home and go to sleep. And I just kept telling him, like, no, I'll go to your house and I'll walk home, because I was just being stubborn.
So you were arguing?
You told me you were arguing.
Was this an accident?
Yes, it was an accident.
So why didn't anybody come and get me?
And later,
You've been included when we go to dinner. You've been included in several family functions. We didn't have to, but we did because we wanted you there.
Just like you didn't have to leave me alone for a year, but you did that anyways.
so you were arguing.
You told me you were arguing.
I mean, yes, but he wasn't arguing. He just wasn't saying anything. I was pretty much trying to initiate an argument because I was mad.
Did you or did you not know she was getting back in the car?
I did not know she was getting back in the car.
And had you known she was getting back in the car, what would you have done?
I wouldn't have even pulled off about knowing she was trying to get back in the car. I was trying to get home because I'm thinking she's walking away from the car, and that's when she hopped back in, and that's how I get. That's how.
So wouldn't you look to make sure she's completely out of the car and maybe watch as she goes in the house to make sure she safely makes it in the house before you pull off?
Well, you said she never got out of the car completely at all. He just drove off with her.
Correct. He
Half
did.
in,
He
half
did.
out. Let's take a look at this for a second. You say that she never got completely out of the car, correct? Okay, so who is this standing next to the car?
It's me.
Were there 3 people there?
I understand that, but there's a part where she goes to get back in.
Yeah, but
I
I was
understand, but
still
you
out.
said she never got out of the car. She never got completely out of the car. You make these statements because nobody ever questions you about it.
We looked at that video
You said I
several
can play
times.
it back for you. You said it like a minute and a half ago. You said she never got completely out of the car. She was getting out of the car and he just drove off.
That's what it appeared to look like when you're watching a grainy video that we had no ability to stop like that, to actually break it down.
Well, great news, because we can stop it.
That's amazing.
No, seriously, you can see she's completely out of the car,
Okay.
right?
Yes, sir.
And when somebody gets out of the car and grabs the door, we expect it's going to be A, get out, B, grab the door, C, close it. But if there's a B, 1, 2, and 3, where you go, oh, and jump back in the car, you don't expect that.
Right.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
You went off script. And once you knew what happened,
I stopped.
what'd you do with her?
I got her. When I got to the side of the car, I picked her up and put her in the car and asked her, did she want me to take her inside to her mom?
Was he concerned about you?
Yes, he was. I think maybe.
So he didn't get out and go, that's what you get.
No, he didn't get out. He didn't get out and make it seem like it was something that was done on purpose or anything. He got out and was truthfully like worried and scared.
So why didn't anybody come and get me?
Because she
I didn't want to come to you. Why would I want to come to you and tell you when you already have these images of him in your head that you don't really like him? So I'm gonna come to you and be like, oh, this happened, and it's just gonna make your views worse on how you feel about him.
You were significantly injured. You were significantly injured.
Based on what you've seen today, does it change your opinion as to whether or not this might have been an accident?
It may have very well been. And now that it's slowed down, I'm able to see that. No.
Well, let's look at the pattern. Has he been physically abusive with you before?
No, not at all. Nothing.
Do you have any evidence to the contrary?
No, I believe he's emotionally abusive to her when they argue and fight. I never said physically abusive.
But he doesn't argue or fight. He doesn't like to sit there and argue or go back and forth because it's not going to resolve anything.
So if somebody's emotionally abusive here or stalking or
It's me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Coming up, Dina's boyfriend, Tony, says that he's lost all trust for Corinna and she would need to stay away from Tommy to ever come back into his house again. Why? We'll meet him next and he can answer that question.
I don't trust Corinna at all. I believe Tommy is a bad influence on Corinna. The best way to describe Tommy is he's a wannabe thug and a liar. He acts like he's some kind of gangster. Dina kicked Corinna out. I was going to be the one to kick her out, and Dina beat me to it.
I do believe that Tommy is emotionally abusive to my daughter. When they argue, he will say mean things to her, and he blocks her phone number. She always seems to be upset and is in her room crying. I believe he is the cause of her downward spiral, and that pisses me off. She deserves so much better than him. I need my daughter to just break up with this loser thug that's in her life.
Well, Dayna says her daughter Corinna's issues are due to her love interest, Tommy. Corinna says Tommy's been the only one there for her. Now, Dayna's boyfriend Tony says that Corinna is a train wreck who clearly needs mental help.
Dayna moved in with me 3 years ago, and her daughter moved in for about 4 months after that. I don't trust Corinna at all. I believe Tommy is a bad influence on Corinna. The best way to describe Tommy is he's a wannabe thug and a liar. He acts like he's some kind of gangster. I've learned he was arrested for drugs at school and that he sells drugs. Corinna needs to be away from Tommy for her own good. Corinna and Tommy smoke weed around my house, in the car, in the driveway, in the backyard. That really bothers me. So I have a 11-year-old and a 13-year-old, and I don't want them to be exposed to that behavior. My oldest son found one of Corinna's vape pens and put it in the drawer in his room. Corinna has also stolen money from my kids that they've had laying around in their rooms. It angers me seeing this stuff. Dayna kicked Corinna out. I was going to be the one to kick her out, but Dayna beat me to it. I really don't want her back in my house.
So you don't really know him?
No.
You just know what you see. And
from what I see and hear.
You know that she had issues before he ever came along.
Yes, except that they elevated after he came along.
It elevated more so because this is the only person that I'm ever around. I hang out with him because I feel like at least I'm wanted. My company is wanted. At home, it's always you guys in your room and the boys doing their own thing, and I'm the odd one out. So why am I gonna wanna stay and be at home when I don't even feel like I'm wanted there?
You've been included when we go to dinner. You've been included in several family functions. We didn't have to, but we did because we wanted you there.
Just like you didn't have to leave me alone for a year, but you did that anyways.
You're right. That does not dismiss the things that you've done.
You're right. I know I've made mistakes and I'll take accountability for that. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but at the same time, you think that just because you're here now, that for the time that you weren't here, that it's just that, oh, well, I'm here now, so it doesn't matter. I was young, and I needed you, and
Absolutely.
you weren't there.
And you know what? With the exception of that little bit of time, and it does not excuse my behavior, it does not excuse me not being there. I 100% take ownership for that. But I have been there. And we had a good relationship. We did things together.
In your head.
Really? I don't think so.
You have some charges pending against you.
Yes.
For what?
Stealing from my job.
What was your theory, A, about getting away with that, and B, justifying that?
I was under the impression that I'm going to be living in my car, and I didn't have insurance on it. It wasn't registered, so I felt like I was in survival mode. And I know it wasn't right, but I just felt like I was doing what I had to do at the time.
You don't steal from people. You don't go to your job and steal $768.
I know.
And you stole money out of my bank account.
I didn't steal it out of your bank account. Your card was linked to my Lyft and Uber account and Cash App, which you've let me have on there before. So to say that I stole money out of your account is kind of hypocritical.
I don't have a Lyft or an Uber. As a matter of fact,
You're right.
The first time I've ever been in a Lyft or an Uber has been out since we've been here.
You're right. I do.
You used
but
my
you've
card.
let me use it before.
You must have taken a picture of my card without my authorization, and you racked up all these charges. To check
I didn't purposely go on there, put in her card information, and take money and go on, do Lyft rides and
Where
Cash
did you think
App.
it was coming from?
My account.
You don't have a bank account.
Yes, I do.
A bank account at an actual bank?
I have a debit card, and I have where there's money being put in my account for direct deposit.
So would
it
you
is a
check
bank.
that to make sure, like, oh, do I have enough money for this transaction? Like, I logged on to my bank account, and that's why I noticed all this.
Okay, y'all can do money management later. My point is, you're making really bad decisions.
Yes.
And now you've got a charge against you, right?
Yes.
And did you have anything to do with this?
Bond her out of jail.
Other than that?
Other than that, no, I didn't even know about it.
If you had no idea about anything, the money that she kept at your house that I took her to go pick up to go get her car re-registered and back on the road. Where did you think she came up with all these hundreds of dollars from?
Well, she's telling me her grandmother is selling stuff. I went through my clothes personally and found all clothes that I didn't wear anymore just so I can give it to her so she could sell, because she was telling me she was selling stuff from her grandmother.
You know what? You guys are talking like she's hanging out with the bad crowd. It sounds to me like he's hanging out with the bad crowd. He's bailing her out of jail, and you're criticizing him for not knowing where she's getting money? Seriously?
Well,
no, come on.
it would have been nice when I didn't know where Corinna was and I was texting her for a few hours. You finally answered me after I asked if Corinna was okay.
Well, she didn't want me to answer you. I was already, hold on. I was already knew for a fact if I told her she got arrested, it would have just made her situation even worse. And I wasn't about to put that stress on her or on myself.
Well, don't you think I would find out anyway?
Well,
I went to your house, you told me she was in the bathroom.
Exactly, and
I said go get her.
Were you gonna go bond her out of jail if I didn't go?
My children. My children have already been told, if you ever are stupid enough to get yourself arrested,
Exactly, that's exactly why I didn't contact you, because there was no point of contacting me.
Every time that there's something where you can't get in touch with me, you literally just go straight to look my name up to see if I've been arrested. Like, that's really what you think of me.
That's because you have been doing nothing but criminal activities for a long time. You don't drive around in your car and smoke weed all day, every day. You can't even stand next to your car because the smell of weed coming out of it is so great.
Coming up. Tommy says he's worried about Corinna because he knows she doesn't have a stable place to stay. I have some thoughts about that when we come back. There's just some things that are just plain old common sense values. Maybe it's just being from Texas, but I can tell you, if my kids ain't welcome, I ain't welcome. You know, if somebody says to me, hey, Phil, you can come and stay, but your kids can't, then you can color my ass gone.
Corinna was sneaking her boyfriend Tommy into our house without our knowledge. After we asked you multiple times, don't have him in the house, don't have him in the house, and you did anyway. People saw you, the neighbors saw you. You would sneak out at night. You lie to me. I believe my daughter's headed down a dark road.
Dayna says Corinna's sneaking Tommy in the house was the last straw, so she and Tony kicked her out. Tony says he was getting ready to, and she did before he could get to it. Look, Tony may have reasons because of his children, but, you know, there are certain things that I know scientifically from 45 years of being in the mental health profession, and then there's just some things that are just plain old common sense values. Maybe it's just being from Texas, but I can tell you, if my kids ain't welcome, I ain't welcome. You know, if somebody says to me, hey, Phil, you can come and stay, but your kids can't, then you can color my ass gone. If you think I'm leaving either one of these boys out on the curb, you've sadly underestimated me. Because if my children aren't welcome, then I'm not welcome. Right. And if that can't be worked out, then I'm gone. It's just that simple. You don't abandon your daughter. She's 18 now, but she's functioning at an emotional age of about 13 because her developmental progress has been arrested by a lot of things you've put in her life, because the most powerful role model in any child's life is the same-sex parent, and that's you, and you have modeled instability in relationships, poor judgment in choosing partners, doing the things that you've done that have put her in a situation of mirroring exactly what you're doing. And this isn't something that you did when she was 10, 11, 12, or 13. It's something you're doing today. You're still doing it today. You have not made her a priority.
I feel, why should I sit and fight for a relationship with you if you're not even fighting to have one with me?
I fight for one with you. That's why we're here is to work on our relationship and move forward and try to figure out the healthiest way to do this.
You made it clear, well, pretty clear that before we came here that if I go to a program and get myself mental help, then and then I come home, if you guys see that I'm different and I've made a complete 360, that I'll be allowed to come back into the house. Well, I came here to fix our relationship, not just my mental health.
Absolutely, and I've said that to you. I've said to you, we need to work on us.
Well, the question I've got is what you're willing to do that. Because I hear what you're saying, but I'm interested in seeing what you're going to do. We'll be right back. You're in a relationship where it's not compatible with her. Are you okay with her daughter being out there floating around and not being supported by her mother? You know, I've told you what I think. I think that you have set a pattern in your life that she has studied and learned very carefully. And she is emulating you every step of the way. And I'm just curious what you're willing to do to change it. You're in a relationship where it's not compatible with her. You two haven't sat down and come up with something that he can be comfortable with, you can be comfortable with, she can be comfortable with, so she's on the street. And I don't get how that's okay with you. I don't get how you go to bed every night and she doesn't.
She is going to bed.
Are you going to answer my question?
What am I willing to do?
Yeah, what are you willing to do?
I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to help her and help us.
Are you two serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're serious about her?
Yes.
About going forward long term with her?
Yes.
You in love with her?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
How do you feel about her letting her daughter just float?
Well, if your daughter's an adult, you know, and she's making her own decisions, you know, and I don't need those decisions around my kids.
But it's not just...
Hold on.
Okay.
How do you feel about her letting her daughter float? She is chronologically 18.
Correct.
Do you think she's as mature as an 18-year-old?
No.
You know, she abandoned her when she was a sophomore and a junior, left her in an apartment by herself. She's had her in a rotating, just revolving door of relationships. She knows nothing of stability. She knows nothing of feeling valued. So she's out there just kind of making it up as she goes along and making really stupid decisions. And that's the state of affairs. Mm-hmm. So she's broken her, and you say, well, she's an adult, she's 18. Chronologically, that's true. Are you okay with her daughter being out there floating around and not being supported by her mother?
Well, it's, you know, it is what it is. She got herself in trouble, and it's not good around my kids. And
So because I got myself in trouble, I shouldn't...
Hold on. I'm doing an interview here. And I know right where you are if I need any help.
Okay. You're right.
Actually, she didn't get herself in trouble. She had a lot of help, not from him. You ran this off in the ditch.
Mm-hmm.
You can't run the car off in the ditch and then just get out and hitchhike off and leave it in the ditch, because that's what you're doing. You're the one that failed to install the self-image and the self-esteem. You're the one that failed to say to herself, I'm not going to do this because I'm better than that. I'm not going to put myself in this situation.
So how do we were going to counseling, to try to work on everything, her independently. That's the way they want it, her and I together.
Well, first off, you don't rely on a counselor to raise your daughter.
Absolutely, but we made these, absolutely.
The first thing you do is you look your daughter in the eye and say, okay, we're gonna hit the reset button and we're gonna start this over. I love you, I value you, and girl, you and me are in this together. If you're gonna be sleeping in your car, move over, honey, because I'm there with you. Because you're my daughter. You're my daughter, and if you got problems, then I got problems. If you've got needs, I've got needs. And if people talk shit about you, they're talking shit about me. We're in this together. And if you've made dumb mistakes and you go to court, then I'm going with you, and I'm going to stand there with you. And I'm not going to say what you did was okay, but I'm going to say, I wasn't there for you. I have ownership in this, and I'm here now, and I'm fighting for my daughter. You give her a second chance. I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to stand with you, and we're going to climb out of this hole together. And if he can help, great. If he can't, goodbye. I hope you're there when this is over with. But my daughter comes first. He comes in a distant, distant second. I think you need to get back into a relationship with your daughter, not as a best friend, but as a mother, as a supporter, as a role model. And will I help you do that? Will I get you the professional help to do that? Yes, I will. Am I going to pack her off somewhere for 90 days so you can take a break? Hell no. She's staying here and working with you. Are you willing to do that? Because I will get you help right now. People that will help you all the way through court. I'm trained in forensic psychology. I work in the court system. You show up in court with a serious, serious plan of rehabilitation, a serious plan of turning your life around, a serious professional to stand up on your behalf. There's a good chance you might walk out of there with a second chance. You show up with what you're doing now, you ain't got a snowball's chance in hell, girl. What you do between now and when you're sentenced makes all the difference in the world of what's going to happen to you. It's not too late. You need to behave your way to success right now, and you can help in a big way. What you do between now and then makes all the difference in the world.
Yes.
I want to thank all of my guests today. For information about today's show, you can log on to drphil.com. You know, one of my Facebook followers had a very relevant question for me. Sonia Newby asked, what are the key elements, qualities that define a good parent? Boy, how timely is that? But I can tell you, parent is both a noun and a verb. Parent is something you are, and parent is something you do. And your job is to prepare your child for the next level of life, whatever that is. If they're 3 or 4 years old, you're preparing them to go to kindergarten and be independent at that level. If they're graduating high school, you're preparing them to go out into the world, whether it's college or jobs or whatever, and function at that level. You're preparing them for the next level of life. If they're single and they're getting ready to get married, you're preparing them for that, how to share their life with someone, how to share time and space and money and division of labor, all of that. It's your job. You will parent your child until the day you die. It's always your job to prepare them for the next level of life. That's what a parent does. Stay social, keep asking these questions. I just might answer them right here. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm all over the place. We'll see you next time.
Kicking her out was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It was so hard, especially when she came to the house the next day and she's on the door and I'm on the other end of the door, and all I wanted to do was just let her in, and I couldn't.
As far as Corinna coming back in the house, I mean, I don't need that stuff around my kids.
Did you ever make mistakes at 18?
Oh, I made plenty of mistakes. I got myself in trouble. stealing stuff, and I paid for it. I got put away. I've been serving time, almost 6 years. I fought tooth and nail with everything on my own to get where I am today. The problem I see is nobody's let her completely fall so she could rebound on her own.
If she were 14 and going through this, absolutely, 100%, bye Tony. But she's an adult. My relationship with her, I don't want it to suffer. I don't want it to continue to be bad. I want to work on it and make it better. I'm really hopeful. That's why I'm here.
Bounce, bounce, all the girlies bounce. Take 'em to my house, turn the party out. Bounce, 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 all the girlies bounce. Take 'em to my house, turn the party out.
You warned me 1,000 times, memories can kill ya, but I didn't hear ya. I thought that I could fly, but woke up on the asphalt. I swear there was the last time. I've always been naive, call it.
Ooh, you know we gon' get it. Ooh, you know we gon' get it. Ooh, you know we gon' get it. Every day and night, that's right.